All right, I'm now at the Muskie Innovations booth, one of my favorite booths, and we're at the 2011 Muskie show here in Milwaukee, and I'm here with the owner, Brad. Brad, you know, we're talking about what sort of baits and lures would people that are just getting into muskie fishing, you know, you've got tons of different product to choose from, and it can be kind of confusing, you know, for someone who's just a beginner. If you had two baits that you would, you know, recommend to a new muskie angler, which two would you recommend to them to catch your first muskie?
Right, absolutely. You know, there is a lot of products out there, and there's a lot of, you know, real big stuff out there, and that's kind of the trend in muskie fishing right now. But I'll tell you what, we got two baits here, and the reason I picked these two is, number one, they're very, very easy to use, and the key to these two baits is you cannot fish them wrong. The Shell Invader is just, it's a shell crankbait. It's a hybrid. It's got the hard plastic head. It's got the soft plastic tail. It's very, very simple. Cast it out.
Crazy action.
Yeah, it's got great action. You reel it in,
yep,
and a couple pauses in the cast, and they come up and eat it. And the nice thing too is it floats. So if you get in any trouble like weeds and stuff, you just rip it out. It'll float right to the surface. Excellent for a beginning muskie fisherman right here.
That's the Shallow Invader, okay.
And you know, it's a decent size. It's not too big. It's very easy to cast all day. You're not going to get fatigued.
Yep.
The other bait is, this is a regular bulldog. Bulldogs have been around since 1993, so it's a staple in most muskie fishermen's tackle box.
Now, what do you got this year for all the, let's say, the experienced anglers and or for beginner fishermen? What do you have for the 2011 season? Do you have some new product this year?
Our new bait for 2011 is the Double Dog right here. The reason we call it the Double Dog, it's got the two tails on the back, right there. Then of course we got these crazy arms on the side. Neat thing about the Double Dog is, that's different than the regular Bulldog, is it has a lot more vibration in the water, has a different kind of water displacement, and this bait actually rides quite high in the water column. So you can, you know, rip it over the rock piles and the weed beds and stuff, and rip it right over the top. So
I mean, what a bait! You know, I mean, muskie fishing's come so far in the in the last 10 years with all these new plastics, and it's amazing that, you know, that guys are consistently throwing these baits, and you're catching tons of big muskies on these new big soft plastics. So. Right,
you know, on the prototypes alone, I mean, there was this fall just unbelievable amounts of big fish caught on this thing. Biggest one being a 56¼ inch. I mean, it's insane, you know.
Yeah,
so
that is awesome. Well, thanks for having us, Brad. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
An awesome product, and if people want to get more information on the product, I'm assuming they can go to muskieinnovations.com.
Yep, that's our website.
And they can see all the great product you have there.
Yep,
all
awesome.
Right. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
And I'm here with Greg. And Greg, what can you tell me about, you know, these Phantom baits? If a guy had to catch his, you know, is looking to fish with one bait here, a new beginner fisherman, and he wanted, you know, didn't have a lot of money, and he just wanted to maybe look at one bait, which bait would you recommend that they buy?
Well, this is a 6-inch basic Phantom, and what I'm looking at is the fact that it's easy to work in the water column. It's a great bait as far as its versatility for casting or just going ahead and just retrieving natural, compared to a side-by-side motion or a twitching motion of your rod. You can go ahead and retrieve this straight in, and what this bait does is it goes ahead and it'll go side by side in the water column, something like that.
They're great baits. Seems like in like May and June for triggering that muskie strike. You know, you can do so much with them. Like you were saying, they'll dive up and down, and you can just trigger them real quick. So
right.
You know, if someone's looking to get into muskie fishing, in my opinion, you know, top 3 for sure of the muskie bait you got to have in your box if you're learning how to muskie fish.
Right. Plus, you know, with cold front conditions, this is another bait that, you know, people always tell you that you have to downsize. Yep. And that gives you a little more versatility as far as baits.
Now for 2011, what do you have here for new product? I see you got some new big Phantoms.
These are the big 10-inch Phantoms.
Wow, those
these
look
are
fantastic.
all with the tails on them.
Sure.
Then these ones are the 4-inch, which are the new ones that go ahead and come into play a lot in the springtime.
Yeah, that looks like a good pike bait too.
A little pike and bass, largemouth bass are going on those. There's a lot of different colors that are available besides those. Those are over right now at the show over at Raleigh and Helens.
So, and if people are looking to check out your baits, they can also go to phantomlures.com, I believe it is.
Phantomlures.com.
And they can
they'll see all these.
See all the lures. All right, Greg. Well, thanks for letting us hang out in the booth with you.
Anytime.
All right, take care. All right, we're now at the Bait Rigs booth here, and I'm with Joe and Tony Puccio. What could you tell me if you had maybe one bait for someone getting into muskie fishing that you would recommend they use all season long?
Well, this is a new double spinner that we have. It's a Mag 7 is the size of it. And it's a nice bait for a beginner because it's not overly difficult to throw.
Absolutely, yep.
And doesn't have a lot of pull on the retrieve.
Sure.
It's an excellent muskie bait in the spring, but an excellent multi-species bait all year long.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess if I had to pick one, I've seen guys picking some jerk baits and glide baits and topwater baits, but boy, one of my favorites to throw if I was telling someone to throw a bait all year would be make sure you buy something like this. I mean, this looks fantastic, and you're gonna, like you said, this is gonna catch all sorts of muskie.
Yeah, it is. And
just throw it out and you reel it in. You can reel it in slow and fast. I mean,
exactly right.
That's a great thing about these baits. They just catch fish too. The hookup ration is fantastic. So.
Yep, exactly right.
And do you have any new product this year, Joe, from Bait Rigs that for muskie fishermen that at the show?
Yep.
Any samples?
This bait is new. This Mag 7.
All right.
And then we've also introduced a Mag 8, which is one size larger than that. And this gets up into a double hook setup where you've got a forward hook, treble in the front, and of course a trailer treble in the back. You'll notice these blades are very natural looking. The concept you're looking at here is a little different than what you're used to seeing with bucktails.
Sure.
We've gone super natural here in terms of trying to get away literally from all the glitz and the glitter, the tinsel, especially in clear water. A lot of the top pros are saying fish are shying away from that now and more towards what they're really eating are these more natural muted patterns.
Very interesting.
So that's what we've gone with. This happens to be a crappie, but we also have perch patterns, suckers, walleye, that kind of thing.
Well, you have a lot of awesome baits here. I see you got some jigs, you got some plastics, and just a lot of really good products. So if people are looking to learn how to muskie fish, I'm sure they could also go to your website, baitrigs.com, right?
Baitrigs.com, that's right.
And they could, get a bunch of good content for this sort of product, right?
Exactly right.
Well,
and we're basically our company philosophy is, our baits are pretty basically functional. I mean, we're not really trying to produce baits that are difficult to use. They're pretty commonly used baits. Sure. And there's a lot of information on our site on how to use them.
Well, thanks for talking to me, and I appreciate your time. Awesome baits.
Thanks, buddy.
And new for 2011, for me, Lee Lure Surface Baits is the water chopper, mini water chopper, I should say. A little smaller version, a little more compact version of what has been the most successful bait in my lineup personally. The Lee Lures Mini Chopper.